All right. Welcome to another deep dive. So this time you sent in the film Alakada,
Hmm.
Bad and Boujee.
Uh-huh.
And from everything I've heard, this Nigerian film like blends comedy and drama and like all those things together.
It does. It does.
So we have some articles and reviews about the film, obviously,
Yeah.
and your notes.
Mhm.
So today we're going to try to figure out why this film was so important to you
Okay.
and maybe learn a bit about Nollywood along the way.
Yeah, that's great. Nollywood, as the Nigerian film industry is called,
Okay.
it's seen huge growth in popularity, and Alakada, Bad and Boujee, is a great example of that.
Okay.
It made an impressive 134 million its opening week.
Wow.
Um, the film blends humor and social commentary
Yeah.
and really captures what makes Nollywood so captivating.
So like let's get into the star of the show, Yetunde.
Okay.
And she's basically living a double life, right?
Yeah.
Trying to like create this lavish online persona to get fame and acceptance.
Right.
And it seems like that would be a recipe for like some hilarious antics.
Yes.
But also some serious introspection.
Uh-huh.
Now, you mentioned that some of her schemes had you laughing out loud.
Yeah.
What were some of your favorites?
Well, I think what's really clever about this film's humor is that it uses satire to expose the hypocrisy of, like, chasing social status.
Hmm.
We laugh at Yetunde's attempts to portray a wealthy lifestyle,
Right.
but at the same time, it makes us question our own, like, participation in that system.
Right.
Think about how much emphasis we place on online validation and appearances.
Yeah.
The film, like, exaggerates that to a comical level,
Yeah.
but the underlying message is really quite insightful.
Right, yeah, like it's holding up a mirror to us,
Exactly.
to our obsession with social media and how we portray ourselves.
Yes, definitely.
So, okay, so we have Yetunde trying to like fake it till she makes it.
Mhm.
But then there's this whole other like drama layer with Madam Sharon,
Yeah.
who's played by Ini Ito, and she's apparently involved in organ harvesting,
Right.
which is like, that's a big twist.
It's unexpected. Yeah.
How does this darker element fit into the overall tone of the film?
It is a bold move to blend comedy with such a serious topic.
Yeah.
But I think that speaks to the director, Toyin Abraham's, her willingness to push boundaries and tackle those complex issues head on,
Right.
This blend of genres keeps the audience on their toes and adds this layer of suspense to what could otherwise be a straightforward comedy.
Right.
It's really like a classic Nollywood technique,
Right.
weaving together diverse elements to create a story that's both entertaining and thought-provoking.
And I was reading that Toyin Abraham, she doesn't just star in the film, she also wrote and directed it.
Yeah, she did.
That's a lot. That's some dedication.
It's very impressive.
Did you notice any like directorial choices that stood out to you?
Oh, there were quite a few.
And you mentioned the visuals being great in your notes.
Yeah, the use of color was particularly striking. Yetunde's home, it's portrayed in these muted tones, almost drab, while her online persona is surrounded by, like, vibrant colors and these really luxurious settings.
Oh, wow.
It's a really great visual representation of the contrast between her real life and the world that she's trying to project online.
Yeah.
And it's a really clever way to reinforce the film's themes without explicitly stating them.
I like that. It's like this subtle visual cue that adds this other like meaning to the story.
Right,
And
exactly.
speaking of like adding layers,
Yeah.
you mentioned that the film has a stellar supporting cast.
It does, yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about them?
Yeah. Nollywood is known for its strong ensemble casts.
Okay.
And Alakada, Bad and Boujee, is no exception.
Hmm.
Each character, even those with, like, smaller roles, contributes to the richness of the narrative.
Oh, wow.
Odunlade Adekola as Brother Jide brings this wonderfully eccentric energy to the film.
Uh-huh.
And then Bimbo Ademoye and Lizzie J as Brother Jides, they provide this genuine sense of camaraderie and support. And their interactions feel so authentic, and they add this warmth to the story
Okay.
that balances out some of the darker elements.
Yeah, so we've got like this mix of comedy, drama, even a touch of thriller with the organ harvesting.
Right.
What do you think draws audiences to this kind of like genre-bending storytelling?
I think it reflects the complexities of life.
Mm.
We don't live in a world where everything neatly fits into one genre.
Right.
We experience joy and sorrow and laughter and tears all intertwine. And
Yeah.
Nollywood films often embrace this, offering stories that are as multifaceted as, like, the human experience.
It makes you realize that Alakada, Bad and Boujee, is doing more than entertaining. It's reflecting like real life in a way that's both relatable and engaging.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of engaging, let's talk about the music.
Okay.
You mentioned that the soundtrack stood out to you.
Yes, the film really seamlessly blends contemporary Nigerian sounds with the narrative, which creates this vibrant and energetic atmosphere. And there are these moments where the music underscores the comedy.
Right.
And other times where it enhances like the emotional beats of the story.
Yeah.
You can really feel the pulse of Nigerian music culture throughout the whole film.
And that connection to Nigerian music is something that's been making waves, like, globally.
It has, yeah.
I've noticed more and more Nigerian artists gaining international recognition. So Alakada, Boujee is like, it's riding that wave, showcasing not just the film industry, but the vibrant music scene as well.
Absolutely. It highlights the power of film to act as a cultural ambassador, introducing audiences worldwide to the sounds and rhythms of Nigeria.
I love that. So we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
The captivating storyline, the intriguing blend of genres, the stellar cast, and this vibrant music. But what I'm really curious about is, like, how does this film tackle the theme of self-acceptance?
Okay.
We see Yetunde struggling between her, like, real self and this online persona she's created.
Right.
And you mentioned this theme really resonated with you.
It did. It did.
So what was it about Yetunde's journey that struck a chord?
I think what's interesting is that, like, while the film is set in Nigeria, Yetunde's struggles with identity and the pressure to project a perfect image online, that's universal.
Yeah.
I think, like, anyone who's spent time on social media can relate to that feeling of wanting to be seen and accepted.
Right.
Even if it means presenting a slightly altered version of ourselves.
I've definitely felt that pressure.
It's so easy to get caught up in the comparison game.
Yeah.
When you're constantly bombarded with these curated versions of reality.
Exactly. And the film doesn't shy away from how complex this is.
It doesn't.
It shows how seeking validation online can be, like, alluring, but also ultimately unfulfilling.
Right.
Yetunde's journey is like a cautionary tale, but also a reminder that true happiness comes from embracing our authentic selves.
Yes.
Like, flaws and all.
Absolutely.
This deep dive is making me think about my own online presence in a new light. You know, it's so easy to get swept up in this curated world of social media and forget that authenticity is what truly connects us.
It is. It's so important to remember that.
Yeah, and it's...
I think that's one of the film's greatest strengths.
Okay.
It really encourages us to be more mindful of how we present ourselves online and to remember that true connection comes from being genuine.
Right.
Not from projecting this image of perfection.
Yeah, well said.
Thank you.
But before we go too far down that rabbit hole, let's shift our focus to some of the other players in the film.
Okay.
So we've talked about Yetunde and Madam Sharon. But what about the supporting cast?
Yes.
How do they contribute to the film's overall message?
That's a great question, and it leads us to an even deeper understanding of the film's core themes.
Okay, so tell me more about these fascinating characters. What makes them so special?
Well, the supporting characters in Alakada, Bad and Boujee, aren't just there for, like, comic relief or to, like, move the plot along. They each, like, embody different aspects of Nigerian society and offer contrasting perspectives on Yetunde's journey.
That sounds like some rich storytelling.
It is.
Can you give us some specific examples?
Sure.
Who are some of these, like, standout characters, and how do they impact the story?
Okay, one character that immediately comes to mind is Brother Jide, played by Odunlade Adekola.
Okay.
He's a flamboyant character full of energy and charisma, and he represents a more traditional side of Nigerian culture.
That sounds intriguing. What's his connection to Yetunde?
He's deeply rooted in his community and his faith.
Okay.
He's often seen offering Yetunde guidance and reminding her of the importance of family and tradition, and he serves as this, like, counterpoint to Yetunde's desire for modern fame and fortune.
So he's almost like a voice of reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Amidst the chaos of Yetunde's double life.
Amidst all the chaos, yeah.
Okay, so his presence in the film adds another layer to this exploration of identity.
It does, yeah.
So Yetunde is caught between the traditional values that Brother Jide represents and this allure of the modern world that she sees online.
Yes.
It's a conflict that a lot of young people in Nigeria and, like, around the world probably face, you know?
Absolutely. It's a universal struggle.
It highlights how universal Yetunde's struggle is.
Yeah.
She's not just a character in a Nigerian film.
Yeah.
She's like a reflection of this whole generation.
A whole generation, yeah.
That's grappling with the complexities of identity in a world that's changing so fast.
Yeah, it's a lot to deal with.
And then you have Yetunde's close friends.
Yes.
Played by Bimbo Ademoye and Lizzie J.
Yes.
And they represent a more modern, like, urban perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And they're supportive of Yetunde's ambitions.
They are, yeah.
But they also caution her about losing herself in the pursuit of online fame.
Right, they want what's best for her.
So they're like the voice of reason within her generation.
Exact.
And their dynamic with Yetunde is where a lot of the film's humor comes from.
A lot of it, yeah.
They're constantly trying to keep her grounded.
Uh-huh.
While also getting caught up in her schemes.
Right.
It's this relatable and entertaining portrayal of female friendship.
It is.
It sounds like Alakada, Bad and Boujee is really doing a fantastic job of showcasing the diversity of Nigerian society.
It is.
Through these supporting characters. They're not just filling the background, they're shaping the narrative.
They're essential to the story.
And adding depth to the film's themes.
Absolutely.
That's what makes Nollywood so compelling.
It is, yeah.
It's a cinema that's deeply rooted in its culture and its people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's offering these stories that resonate with both local and global audiences.
It's fantastic.
Well, I'm even more eager to dive into this film now.
Good.
You've painted such a vivid picture of the characters and the themes and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm already getting a sense of why Alakada, Bad and Boujee has become such a cultural phenomenon.
It's a special film.
And we've only just begun to scratch the surface.
There's so much more to uncover.
I can't wait to delve deeper. But before we do, let's talk a little bit about Toyin Abraham herself.
Okay.
You know, the director.
Yes.
You mentioned earlier that she's this multi-talented force in the Nigerian film industry.
She is, yeah.
What can you tell us about her career and her vision for this film?
Well, Toyin Abraham is really a powerhouse in Nollywood.
Okay.
She's not just an actress.
Wow.
She's a writer, director, producer, and entrepreneur.
Okay.
She's known for her comedic roles, but with Alakada, Bad and Boujee, she proves her ability to tackle these more complex and layered stories.
So she's not afraid to push boundaries.
Not at all.
And you can really see her vision in the film.
You can, yeah.
She wanted to create something that was both entertaining and thought-provoking.
Uh-huh. Something that would make audiences laugh, but also leave them with something to think about.
And it sounds like she succeeded.
Yeah.
But let's talk a bit more about, like, the specifics of her directorial style. Like, what are some of the techniques she uses to bring the story to life?
Well, as we discussed earlier, the use of color is very deliberate.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about, creating aesthetically pleasing visuals.
Right.
It's about using color to tell the story.
Yeah.
To highlight that contrast between Yetunde's real life and her online persona.
Yeah, like she's using visual cues to guide how we interpret the story.
Exactly. And she also uses a lot of close-up shots, especially on Yetunde's face, to capture her emotional journey.
Okay.
You see every flicker of doubt, every moment of triumph, and every instance of vulnerability.
So it creates that intimacy with the audience.
It does.
I love that attention to detail. It's clear that Toyin Abraham is a director who really cares about her craft.
She does, yeah.
And telling stories that resonate with people.
Absolutely.
I'm even more excited to experience this film now.
Good.
You've given me this whole new appreciation for the thought and artistry that went into creating it.
That's great to hear.
And I'm sure you'll be captivated by the film's energy
I think so.
and humor
Yes.
and thought-provoking themes.
It has it all.
But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
All right.
I want to touch on one more aspect of the film that you mentioned.
Okay.
The ending,
All right.
without spoiling anything.
Of course.
Can you tell us a bit about how the film concludes?
Sure.
And, like, what it leaves the audience pondering?
Well, the ending of Alakada, Bad and Boujee, is both satisfying and thought-provoking.
Okay.
It offers a sense of resolution while also leaving room for interpretation and discussion.
Okay.
It doesn't tie everything up neatly, which I think is fitting for a film that explores such complex themes.
Right. So it's not your typical Hollywood ending.
Not at all.
Where everything's wrapped up perfectly.
No, it's more nuanced than that.
Yeah.
It leaves the audience with questions about identity, self-acceptance, the impact of social media on our lives.
It's the kind of ending that sticks with you.
It really is.
After the credits roll,
Yes.
it sounds like the film aims to spark conversations.
It does.
And encourage people to reflect on their own experiences.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes Alakada, Bad and Boujee so powerful.
Okay.
It's not just entertainment.
Right.
It's a catalyst for self-reflection and dialogue.
It really is.
Well, I'm definitely intrigued to see how it all unfolds.
Good.
And I'm sure our listeners eager to dive in as well.
Me too.
But we're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
When we come back, we'll continue our deep dive into Alakada, Bad and Boujee.
All right.
Exploring the film's social commentary,
Oh, okay.
its cultural impact,
Uh-huh.
and what it reveals about the ever-evolving world of Nollywood.
Sounds good.
We'll also touch on some interesting parallels between the themes of the film and your personal notes,
Okay.
offering a unique perspective on how this story resonates with your own life experiences.
I'm looking forward to it.
Sounds like we have a lot more to unpack. We'll be right back after this short break. Don't go anywhere.
We'll be right here. So, ready to jump back into Alakada, Bad and Boujee?
Oh, absolutely. Before the break, we were talking about the characters and, Toyin Abraham's vision as the director.
Right.
Now I want to get into, the social commentary.
Okay.
You mentioned in your notes that the film made you think about the pressures of social media and that whole desire for validation.
Yeah.
So let's unpack that.
Yeah, the film does a really good job of digging deep into how social media can change how we see ourselves and others.
Mm-hmm.
Yetunde's whole quest for online fame is obviously exaggerated,
Right.
For laughs.
Right.
But it reflects a very real thing.
Uh-huh.
The film uses satire to highlight how absurd it is to chase likes and followers.
Yeah.
And it makes us laugh at Yetunde, but also makes us think about our own behavior online.
You're right. It's so easy to get lost in that world where everything seems filtered and perfect.
It is.
Makes you wonder about the toll it takes on us.
Yeah.
On our self-esteem and how genuine we feel we can be.
Definitely.
I noticed in your notes you mentioned feeling that pressure too to present a certain image.
I think one of the most insightful parts of the film is how it explores this gap between our online personas and who we really are.
Right.
Yetunde builds this facade of wealth and glamour,
Mm-hmm.
but underneath it all, she's dealing with insecurity and self-doubt.
Yeah.
And this, it resonates with so many people
Yeah.
who feel like they need to create this perfect image online, even if it's not their real life.
I think that's what makes Yetunde such a great character.
Yeah.
You can laugh at her crazy schemes,
Right.
but you also see yourself in her struggles.
Absolutely.
It's that mix of humor and relatability that makes the film so powerful.
It really does.
And the film doesn't shy away from showing what can happen
It doesn't.
because of this disconnect between our online and offline lives.
Right.
Yetunde's search for validation leads her to deception.
Yeah.
Puts her in danger. It's like a warning,
It is.
about being true to ourselves and not letting social media tell us what we're worth.
Exactly.
You've hit on something really important.
Okay.
The film isn't just fun. It's like a commentary on the downsides of our digital world.
It is.
It makes you think about what we give up in exchange for, online validation.
It really does.
It's a reminder that real connection and self-worth come from inside,
Yes.
not from how many likes or followers we have,
Mm.
which is super relevant for, young people today.
It is, especially them.
I'm curious, how has Alakada, Bad and Boujee been received by Nigerian audiences?
It's been really well received, especially with younger generations.
Huh?
It started conversations about the pressures of social media,
Yeah.
about being genuine, and the challenges of figuring out who you are in a world that's constantly changing. And the fact that it's a comedy makes these conversations easier to have.
I can see that. Humor can be a really powerful way to address tough topics.
It is.
It makes people more open to listening.
Yeah.
And Alakada does such a good job of balancing humor with this social commentary.
It does. It really does.
It makes you laugh while also encouraging you to think critically about the world.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like this film is more than just entertainment.
Yeah.
It's capturing what it's like to live in Nigerian society today.
It does. It's like a cultural touchstone.
It also reflects those anxieties and aspirations.
Right.
One of the things that struck me about this film was its visual style.
Yeah.
We talked about the use of color, but I'm curious about the overall look.
Okay.
The cinematography, the costumes,
Yeah.
the setting, all of that.
The film is visually stunning.
Right.
It's like this celebration of Nigerian fashion, music, and culture.
Yeah.
The cinematography is dynamic, really energetic,
Oh.
with these sweeping shots of Lagos.
Uh-huh.
They really capture the city's energy.
Lagos is such a bustling city.
It is.
It's great how the film uses that energy in its visual.
Yeah. And the costumes.
Right. You mentioned the film celebrates Nigerian fashion.
It does, yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Well, the costumes are this mix of traditional Nigerian attire and more modern styles. It shows how diverse fashion is in the country.
Okay.
Yetunde's wardrobe is really interesting.
Okay.
When she's playing her online persona,
Yeah.
she wears designer labels and flashy stuff, but in her everyday life, her clothes are much more simple.
It's like her clothes are another way she's trying to create this different identity.
Exactly. And the film uses those visuals to subtly reinforce its themes of identity and self-acceptance.
I'm really impressed with how much thought went into every visual detail of this film.
It's clear that Toyin Abraham has a real eye for aesthetics.
Yeah.
And she understands how visuals can make a story better.
I'm even more interested in seeing this film now.
Good.
You've made me appreciate all the work and creativity that went into making it.
That's great to hear.
It's challenging what I thought I knew about Nollywood cinema.
I think that's one of the most exciting things about Nollywood right now.
Okay.
It's constantly evolving, pushing boundaries, finding new ways to tell stories that connect with people all over the world.
Yeah.
And Alakada, Bad and Boujee, is a perfect example of that, showing how the industry is getting better.
Okay.
Not just technically, but also in the depth of the themes it explores.
It's inspiring to see how Nollywood is making its mark on, like, the global film scene.
It is, yeah.
Speaking of global impact, has Alakada, Bad and Boujee reached audiences outside of Nigeria?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
It's been shown at several film festivals all over the world.
Wow.
Including the Toronto International Film Festival and the Pan-African Film Festival in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And it's available on different streaming platforms, so lots of people have access to it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's exciting to see a Nollywood film breaking through those barriers.
It is.
And reaching a global audience.
It speaks to how universal the themes are and how powerful storytelling can be.
Yeah, it goes beyond cultural differences.
Exactly.
I think the success of Alakada, Bad and Boujee, shows what's to come for Nollywood.
I think so too.
You know, the industry is gaining momentum,
Yeah.
attracting investment, producing films that are entertaining and thought-provoking.
Exactly.
Nollywood is a force to be reckoned with.
It is.
I'm going to start paying more attention to this industry.
I think you'll be amazed.
Now, before we move on to our final thoughts on Alakada,
Okay.
I want to go back to the theme of music.
All right.
We talked about it a little before, but I'd love to explore it more.
Sure.
You mentioned that the soundtrack really made the film even better for you.
It did, yeah.
What are some of the, like, standout musical moments?
The music in Alakada isn't just background noise.
Okay.
It's really part of how the story is told.
Okay.
It's a mix of popular Nigerian songs. Some are part of the scene itself.
Right.
And others are added to create a certain mood or feeling.
Oh, interesting. So the music is used very deliberately to guide how the audience feels.
Exactly.
Can you give me an example of how that works in the film?
There's this scene where Yetunde is at a fancy party,
Okay.
trying to impress everyone with all this fake wealth. And the music playing is this popular Afrobeats track, really energetic. It captures the over-the-top atmosphere of the party perfectly.
Yeah.
And Yetunde's desperation to fit in.
It sounds like the music is making a comment on that scene.
Yeah.
Highlighting how fake that world is.
Right.
That Yetunde's trying to be a part of.
Exactly.
And then there are moments where the music is used to show Yetunde's inner struggles.
Right.
There's a scene where she's feeling really lost and alone.
Yes.
And the music becomes more sad and thoughtful. It shows her emotional state.
Right.
And the audience can really connect with her vulnerability.
Yeah, it's powerful.
Music can really change how we experience a film.
Absolutely.
It can make the drama more intense, the humor funnier, and help us feel for the characters.
Exactly.
And in Alakada, Bad and Boujee, the music is woven into the story so well.
It is.
It creates this really rich experience.
It does.
I'm really starting to appreciate how much depth this film has.
Yeah.
It's more than just a comedy.
It is.
It's artfully crafted using music, visuals, and storytelling to explore big ideas.
Absolutely.
And evoke a whole range of emotions.
I think you're spot on.
As we move into our final thoughts on the film,
Okay.
I think it's important to talk about the impact Alakada, Bad and Boujee has had on Nigerian cinema.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not just a successful film on its own.
Right.
It's part of something bigger that's pushing Nollywood forward.
It is.
That's a great lead into our final thoughts.
Right.
I'm eager to hear your perspective on how this film fits into Nollywood as a whole.
Okay.
And what it tells us about where the industry is going.
Well, Alakada, Bad and Boujee is a great example of how Nollywood is evolving. It shows the industry's growing technical skills. Its willingness to tackle current issues
Mm-hmm.
and its ability to connect with audiences all over the world.
It's really inspiring to see Nollywood becoming a global cinematic force.
It is.
What do you think are the key things driving this growth?
Okay.
And what do you think will happen with the industry in the future?
I think one of the key things is that filmmaking technology is more accessible now.
Okay.
More young Nigerians have the tools to tell their stories.
Right.
And that's led to a burst of creativity and diversity in Nollywood films.
It's like we're seeing filmmaking become more democratic in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Which is so exciting.
It is.
What about streaming services?
Streaming services have changed everything for Nollywood.
Okay.
They've given Nigerian films a global platform, allowing them to reach new audiences. This has brought more investment into the industry and helped improve the quality of Nollywood productions.
It's amazing how technology is changing the way we watch films, breaking down barriers and creating new opportunities for filmmakers from all over.
Yeah.
And I think Nollywood is in a great position to benefit from this.
I agree.
Nigerian stories are so rich and diverse.
They are.
They're full of emotion. They can connect with anyone, anywhere.
Absolutely.
You've convinced me that Nollywood is something to watch closely.
I think you'll be impressed.
Before we share our final thoughts on Alakada, I
Okay.
want to bring it back to your personal experience with the film.
Right.
You know, you mentioned that some parts of Yetunde's story resonated with you.
Yeah.
Can you talk more about that? As we've been talking about this pressure to present a perfect image online,
Right.
I've been thinking about my own experiences.
Yeah.
I've definitely felt that pull to create a certain image,
Huh.
to show the good and hide the bad.
It's easy to get caught up in that
It is.
and forget what really matters.
Exactly. And Alakada reminds us of that.
It does.
Yetunde's quest for online fame
Yeah.
is like a cautionary tale about what can happen when we lose ourselves trying to get validation from others.
Right.
It makes us question how much those likes and followers really matter
Yeah.
and to find self-worth from within.
Mm.
I love that message.
It's important.
It's so easy to get caught up in social media
Yeah.
and forget that true happiness comes from being yourself
Absolutely.
and accepting your imperfections. I think that's one of the most important things we can take away from Alakada.
It is.
It's a film that makes us laugh,
Yeah.
makes us think,
Mm-hmm.
and encourages us to live more authentically.
It does.
Well said.
Thank you.
And on that note, it's time to wrap up this part of our deep dive.
Okay.
When we come back,
Yeah.
we'll be sharing our final thoughts on Alakada, Bad and Boujee,
Right.
and what it tells us about the power of storytelling to connect with people everywhere.
Sounds good.
Stay tuned. We're back for our final thoughts on Alakada, Bad and Boujee. And, you know, as we've been talking, I keep thinking about how this film manages to be so entertaining and also so insightful.
Yeah, it's a real testament to Toyin Abraham's skill as a storyteller.
Huh.
She really gets that you can use laughter to share important messages. And with Alakada, she's made a film that's both a fun, romp and a sharp commentary on society.
It's like she's using humor to show us how obsessed we are with social media,
Yeah.
how much we crave validation and the crazy things we do to seem perfect.
And she does it in a way that everyone can relate to,
Yeah.
with characters that we laugh at, but also feel for at the same time.
Yetunde, with all her flaws and ambitions,
Yeah.
she's a character you don't forget.
She really is.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I'm struck by how much we've covered.
It's been a lot.
We've talked about the plot, the characters, the themes, the visuals, the music, its impact on culture. And it's clear that Alakada, Bad and Boujee is more than just a film.
Definitely.
It's a reflection of Nigerian society today,
Right.
a commentary on this digital age we live in, and proof of how powerful storytelling can be, connecting with people all over the world.
It's a film that's both very Nigerian and very universal.
Yeah.
Which is a special combination.
And I think that's what makes Alakada, Bad and Boujee so unique.
Okay.
It's a film that makes us laugh, think, and ultimately leaves us feeling hopeful.
Hopeful that we can find that balance
Mm-hmm.
between our online and offline lives,
Right.
and that we can embrace who we really are
Yeah.
and find joy and connection in the real world.
That's a great way to put it.
Thank you.
So to our listener, if you want a film that will take you to another place,
Okay.
make you laugh, challenge your thinking, and leave you smiling, then definitely check out Alakada, Bad and Boujee,
It's a film that will stay with you.
as you watch Yetunde on her journey. remember to think about your own relationship with social media. The image you present online.
It's important.
Are you being your true self?
Right.
Or are you caught in this trap of always seeking validation?
It's a good question to ask yourself.
We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into Alakada, Bad and Boujee.
I did.
And that it's giving you something to think about.
Yeah, me too.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning.
Absolutely.
And keep embracing the beauty of authentic storytelling.
And genuine connection.
See you next time.
Bye.